Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Karen Williams. I am here with Sarah Dembski, Karina Graziosi, and Rebecca Sundquist. We will be presenting a research proposal to study the use of artificial intelligence, also known as AI, in counseling, focusing on its influence on accessibility and timely interventions. So artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, and creativity. AI plays a significant role in our everyday lives, often in ways we may not even notice. If you have a smart device and have used Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant, you've used AI. If you currently use social media platforms, you have also been exposed to AI. If you've seen recommended content or ads, based on your feed. There's this common joke people on social media say about the FBI watching us when an ad or topic pops up on our feed right after we were just talking about it. Believe it or not, that's a form of artificial intelligence. Many businesses use AI for customer service to provide quick responses to basic inquiries. Recently, I actually caught a flat a few weeks ago, and I was able to call AAA using a chatbot or a version of AI. So it's in almost everything now, from our online shopping to smartphone apps to navigation systems to security systems to learning platforms like Khan Academy, which most of us readily remember, um, entertainment, and more. AI is seamlessly integrated into countless aspects of our daily routines to enhance convenience, personalization, and efficiency. So Sarah, Karina, and Rebecca and I thought it will be interesting to study how it has and can be integrated into counseling. Next slide. So in recent years, the field of counseling has seen an increased interest in integrating artificial intelligence to enhance mental health support and access. So with advancements in natural language processing, machine learning, and emotional recognition, AI presents new possibilities for expanding the reach and efficacy of therapeutic interventions. Our research proposal seeks to explore the potential and limitations of AI in counseling, focusing on AI-driven tools and how they can complement traditional practices, improve accessibility to resources, and provide timely interventions. So one of the critical motivations behind this study is the growing demand for mental health services, which can lead to long wait times and limited access for underserved populations. AI has the potential to bridge some of these gaps in accessibility by offering solutions like chatbots, virtual therapists, and intelligence systems that can support clients in real time. Additionally, AI can assist counselors by, analyzing client data to identify patterns, suggesting personalized interventions, and even providing counselors with decision-making support. So all in all, the problem is that there are not enough counselors to assist the growing population for services, growing demand for services, leading to limited access to resources and untimely interventions. Next slide. So there are a ton of journal articles and research that further explains the growing demand for services, limited access, and the need for mental health counselor support. Johnson and Brookover found a direct link between the lack of psychiatrists and counselors and adverse health outcomes, including an increase in suicide rates. Phillips and Tucker state how the United States mental health care is struggling. Organizations are understaffed, and counselors are overwhelmed with heavy caseloads, especially after COVID. In our literature review, we actually found recent studies done on the efficacy of AI technology currently used in counseling, and it seems to be pretty useful and comparable to in-person techniques, especially with the rise in telehealth. According to Alonzi and his counterparts, the only limitation researchers are finding right now is the lack of training clinicians have on AI, since it is very new and only younger generations have access or experience with it. If you could press space for me, please. So we see a domino effect in these things we found in our literature review, which were the growing demand for services and limited counselors, which leads to high workload or heavy workload and limited accessibility, which inevitably leaves room for an increase in mental health issues. Next slide. So here's actually a visual of the data collected by the Health Resources and Services Administration just a few days ago on November 23rd of 2024, which gives you a clearer idea of how many counselors are actually needed in the US. It's inevitable that California will need more due to the population, but you can see in the blue circle, 122 million of the US population are in areas with a shortage of mental health providers. And 6,199 practitioners are needed in these areas. Next slide. So the purpose of our study is to explore the potential and limitations of artificial intelligence and the effectiveness it will have within the community. We plan to conduct a qualitative study examining AI use in local mental health agencies, hoping to gather enough information to generalize it to stakeholders for all mental health programs. The significance of this research is to assure that the counseling profession stays up to date with technology advancements and the new ways of society. The profession is struggling due to the lack of support for counselors. So if we find ways to support the upcoming or counselors that are currently working in the field, we can better the field for generations to come. This will promote quality care and overall wellness for everybody involved. Next slide. So throughout the proposal, you may hear an abundance of terms related to AI, counseling, research methodology, evaluation, outcomes, and ethical considerations. The main terms to remember are the qualitative approach, which explores subjective experiences, perceptions, and meanings of individuals, constructivist theory, which is when people construct their own knowledge through experiences and interactions, mental health professionals who are trained to help people with mental health issues, mental health clients who are people seeking treatment or support for their mental health issues, mental health clinics, which are facilities that provide those services, interviewers, which will be the person who will ask the questions to obtain the information for the study, participants who are people who will take part in the study, and semi-structured interviews, which is where the interviewer will use a qualitative research method using open-ended questions as a guide to direct conversation, but has flexibility to explore topics based on the responses they get. Thematic analysis, which is used to identify, interpret patterns or themes in the data. The ACA Code of Ethics, which the interviewers will use. It's a set of ethical principles and guidelines established by the American Counseling Association. Informed consent, which is when the provider or the researcher or interviewer in this case will fully explain the details of the study. Confidentiality is making sure that we will keep the participants' information and data secret or private. Artificial intelligence, which is technology and machines that mimic human intelligence. And lastly, AI-powered tools, which is software applications that uses AI to perform tasks that require human intelligence. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to my counterpart, Sarah.
Thank you, Karen. We're looking at the research questions for our study. One is, in which ways do counselors believe AI can support or enhance their therapeutic practices? What ethical and cultural considerations do mental health professionals have regarding the integration of AI tools in therapy? And how does AI influence the accessibility and inclusivity of mental health support across different demographic groups? The null hypothesis for our study is the use of artificial intelligence in mental health care does not significantly affect accessibility for those seeking mental health services when compared to traditional methods of care. The theory that will guide our research is constructivist grounded theory. It provides a practical procedural structure, which allows the healthcare professional to study the patient in close contact as opposed to distancing the participants from the researcher. So that's how we get those additional questions asked, things like that. It's by keeping the researcher and the participant engaged. How the constructivist theory informs the proposal through research questions grounded in constructivism. These are person-centered inquiries. There's ethical considerations in mind with respect to the autonomy and perspective of each patient as an individual. The role of the researcher by co-constructing knowledge with the participant rather than keeping them separate, as I said. And data analysis, which is interpreting meaning and understanding the participant's perspective. Lastly, how this will help us understand the data is that analysis and data collection are run in parallel. Also, the constant comparison method is utilized to help refine the categories and theories to uncover patterns and similarities for the data, as well as researchers generate theory grounded in data that represents the lived experiences of those participants. It's all yours.
Okay, sorry, I had to unmute. So the population sample we will be sampling are people who already use AI within their counseling clinic. The sample size will be 10 participants or until we have reached saturation. And what is saturation? Right, so saturation is described as the point where little or no relevant codes or categories are found within the data. The participants will be selected through purposive sampling method once they have been recruited to participate. We will then obtain informed consents from them. We will be conducting a semi-structured interview via Zoom through the Zoom platform. Next slide. For privacy and security, we will require informed consents, as I had mentioned before. These informed consents will be signed prior to any surveys are given and returned to us. And these informed consents will also be completed before any Zoom interviews are completed as well. And we also will not share or sell any of the participants' information. Next slide. So with obtaining purposive samples, purposive sampling is used to select the people most likely to give the most appropriate and helpful information for the study. This is once we have the 10 participants chosen through the use of the random name picker. This random name picker is an online database type thing. And once we have the names from the clinic who choose to be a participant or are willing, we'll put them in this random name picker and we'll shuffle them around. This database will shuffle it around for us and pick out the 10 names for us to use. So it will be a true random name chosen, but it is in a purposive way. Then they will begin their consent forms and start with the demographic survey. We'll go to the next slide. So this is what the demographic survey will look like. And this is done independently. The demographic survey is done independently. It is sent to a secure email of their choosing. They'll provide us with an email address that is best for them. They'll complete it through the platform called SurveyMonkey, which is secure and reliable. Once it's completed, they'll press that blue button that you can see there after number 9, and it says done. It is automatically sent back to us, and we're able to review the results. The demographic information will be included within the thematic analysis and coding procedures. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to be using a semi-structured interview, as I had mentioned, through Zoom. So Zoom is really impressive as it is HIPAA compliant, as it is a HIPAA compliant platform. So with having a HIPAA compliant platform, we would need to have the Zoom Pro plan. The Zoom Pro plan is $159 for 1 year, which, like I said, is the HIPAA compliant plan. And through the use of the Zoom platform, it allows for many compliance features such as the encrypted meetings, control of waiting rooms, meeting password protection, which can be included within the URL, confidential meeting ID and password, individualized for each client or, participant in our case, ability to lock the meeting after the participant has joined. I went ahead and even looked further for a computer that is secure for the interviewer to use while using the Zoom. So through LinkedIn, the author Alexander J, he suggested to use. He has 3 suggested computers. They're all within a fairly decent price range. The highest one is $530. He suggests the HP Pavilion X360, which is $430. The Acer Aspire 5 Slim, which is $530. The Asus VivoBook 14-inch, which is $430. Now, he suggests these for telehealth. Now, this isn't telehealth we're doing, but these devices, these laptops he suggests, all have these special security and privacy settings. And I'll go ahead and read straight from what he wrote. He said that for therapists handling sensitive client information during telemedicine appointments, robust security features are non-negotiable, which this is non-negotiable what we're handling here for these participants as well. Laptops equipped with privacy shutters or physical camera covers offer an added layer of confidentiality protection by having control over when the camera is active. Therapists can safeguard client privacy during consultations. When choosing a laptop for teletherapy, prioritizing devices with built-in security measures is essential to prevent unauthorized access to confidential data shared during online sessions. Features like fingerprint sensors or facial recognition technology enhance the overall security of the device while ensuring secure storage of client information. Okay, next slide. For the data collection and recording of the data, so this form you see here is strictly just a form. It is not going to be given to the participants. This is the form that the interviewer will use as a template, as a guide when asking the questions through Zoom. It will help them stay on task with asking the questions. The interviewer is allowed to elaborate on other questions or on these questions as they feel. This is just simply a guide. This is not given to the participant in any way. It's just a guide. Next slide. For the data analysis, we will use a coding to then identify any common phrases, demographics. We will be analyzing any common themes from the Zoom interview performed too. Next slide. So for our coding method, we will be using a program called the MaxQDA. So the MaxQDA is one of the most user-friendly platforms to use. The MaxQDA for qualitative data analysis for a 6-month stint is $133.28. If the study were to continue longer, the MaxQDA program for 12 months is priced at $255.85. It's important to note that these are just quotes, and also these quotes include the MaxQDA AI Assist Premium. So what is the MaxQDA, right? So the MaxQDA is super cool because all we have to do is insert our data from our interviews, from the demographic information, and the MaxQDA will code it for us. We'll see it in the document viewer side, and then we'll be able to view it in the analysis of our data. And we'll be able to see the trends and everything, and then we'll see it in words.
Now I'd like to examine the researcher's role. And First, why did we choose this topic of study? As Karen mentioned, artificial intelligence is impacting nearly every aspect of our lives, and it's also impacting the field of mental health counseling. As so much of our research has indicated, a lot more research is necessary in exploring its efficacy. It is important to explore the potential that can be found in artificial intelligence, but we also need to discover the limitations. In short, we really wanted to learn how AI is impacting the way that AI connects with its clients. We chose sites of local mental health clinics who utilize AI as the basis for finding participants in our studies. And the researchers' connection as therapists, we need to understand the positive and negative impacts of AI in the future of our careers. And how will we be using it? And why will we be using it? And how it will impact that connection between ourselves as therapists with our clients. We also need to explore any biases and preconceptions that AI has prior to our research on this topic. AI has an inherent lack of empathy. It seems like, how can a computer connect with another human being in the same way that one-on-one human-to-human contact has? Further, what stereotypes or discrimination or discriminatory practices does AI bring to the table? Does it perpetuate those stereotypes? Does it perpetuate discrimination? We also wanted to explore our own skepticism about its usefulness and discover if we're wrong or not on that. The strategies for validating our findings. We'll be using triangulation and member checking. We want to be sure that through these methods that we will be finding out more about our null hypothesis, as Sarah mentioned. Triangulation is a strategy in which data will be collected through multiple sources to include interviews, observations, and document analysis. And the second strategy is member checking, where the informant will serve as a check throughout the analysis process, and an ongoing dialogue regarding my or our interpretations of the informant's reality and meanings, so that it ensures the truth value of the data. Let's dive into triangulation a little bit more. Triangulation in research is the use of more than one approach to researching a question. The objective is to increase confidence in the findings through the confirmation of a proposition using two or more independent measures. The combination of findings from two or more rigorous approaches provides a more comprehensive picture of the results than either approach could do alone. In other words, we want to confirm the consistency of our results. We want to be able to identify any potential biases, and finally, provide a more comprehensive understanding of the research topic overall. So for our study, in order to complete triangulation, we want to do a comparative analysis between the interview responses and the researchers' observations of the participants throughout the process. For member checking, the member checking provides a way for the researcher to ensure the accurate portrayal of participant voices by allowing participants the opportunity to confirm or deny the accuracy and interpretation of the data, thus adding credibility to the qualitative study. So our participants will be asked to provide their thoughts on the findings that we present to them, on their individual thoughts. We will ask them to clarify any misunderstandings that have come across in interpretation of those findings. And they have the opportunity to add any additional insights that they have discovered after the fact or wanted to include, but perhaps did not. This process enhances the credibility and trustworthiness of the research by ensuring that the participants' views are accurately represented. The following are ethical considerations that we want to be sure to explore along the way. As Karina talked about, many security measures from software to even the very computers that we use, confidentiality must be ensured at every turn. By signing disclosures that not only identify potential risks, but the safety measures that we are giving to each participant in the study to mitigate those risks. All participants must sign informed consent documents after they've been fully informed about the purpose of the study and the design of the study. The researchers will ask each participant if he or she or they have any questions regarding the study, and we will allow ample time to clarify any and all points that participants may have. Researchers must avoid conflict of interest in roles in which their professional judgment may be compromised, and so that will be assessed throughout the course of the study. Research ethics must be upheld in research practice, ethical treatment of participants, and reporting of findings. AI systems must be designed to minimize biases that could affect treatment recommendations or outcomes. Cultural competence is critical in mental health counseling. It is also critical in all AI tools. So, cultural competence, as we know from our very first course in this program, we need to be addressing cultural competency. As well, artificial intelligence, we need to choose tools that will also address cultural competence. And then together, how does mental health counseling paired with artificial intelligence as one unit working together maintain cultural competence? Counselors must be adequately trained in the use of AI tools to ensure the ethical delivery of mental health services. In other words, if I were to be certified to utilize sand play therapy and counseling, I will need to have been trained in that. Similarly, if we plan to use AI tools, we must be trained in the ethical delivery of those artificial intelligence tools. Finally, the International Review Board is a necessary body to evaluate any and all ethical and legal issues that might arise throughout our study. We want to say thank you for taking the time to explore what our project could offer the future of artificial intelligence and mental health care. We are excited to see where this study will lead, and we're glad that you're a part of the interest of how the future of mental health counseling and artificial intelligence can work together for the common good. The following are the references we have utilized throughout the course of our project proposal.